Brandt, the old saying goes that two makes a tradition, so we are starting a tradition. Last year, we had our first episode of Listening to Gratitude. We are going to do that again this season.
We had a number of folks that sent us audio clips. We need your help this year. What are you grateful for? What are you thankful for? Send us an audio clip. Make sure to include your name, where you're from, and you can send that audio clip to either Drew or I on social media, or you can send it to imlistening@duck.com.
imlistening@duck.com.
Yep.
Let's keep it to about 30 seconds if you can. This episode is about you. We just produce it. We want to hear from those folks all over the world that are listening. We appreciate you. We are grateful for you, and we want to hear from you. Don't be shy. This was by far our most popular episode that we have produced, and we want to continue to keep that going. Why is that? It's because of you.
The end.
Don't be shy.
We've all had that moment as a kid in the classroom when the teacher calls on us because they know we weren't listening. Catches us by surprise, don't know what to do, and man, are we going to be listening for the rest of the day. Turns out listening is something that we really learned a lot in school, and they teach in school. Drew and I wanted to learn more about that, so we found two teachers, Kate and Travis, and they got to talk with us a little bit about what it means to have effective listening in the classroom. Here we go. From conversations to the natural world to complete silence, so many of us focus on what's next rather than what is happening now. I'm Listening is a podcast that dissects the importance of listening.
I'm Drew Richmond.
And I'm Brandt Christofferson.
And this is I'm Listening, a podcast simply about the skill of listening.
Okay, so I am Kate Hussey. I teach elementary general music here. That covers our 4Kers through our 5th graders.
Yes, my name is Travis. I've been a teacher for 20 years.
This is my 5th year at this school.
I teach 3rd grade. This is my first year in this district, so I'm excited and happy to be here.
My parents are both music educators as well. Both of them taught band for 20 to 30 years. My mom was stay at home with us for 5-ish, probably 5 to 10.
When I was in high school, there was a career readiness course of sorts. I don't remember what it was called, but you had the opportunity to job shadow at a number of different places. And I really at that time didn't know what I wanted to do. My family was a family of farmers. And so that was kind of the path that had been laid out for me. And I knew that I probably wasn't going to continue in that tradition, but didn't know what I wanted to do.
But I was probably a junior or senior in high school, and it's time to start thinking about that sort of thing. And there were options roaming around, and my mom said, "What do you mean? You're going to be a teacher. You've always wanted to be a teacher. You used to, hand out math tests to imaginary students in the basement. Like, that's what you want to do." And I was like, okay, that's what I want to do.
So I actually job shadowed in a 3rd grade classroom. My brother at the time was a 3rd grader, and so I thought I would hang out with my brother for a few days and check it out. And there was a male teacher, and once I sat down and started to observe him and the way the kids looked up to him, and he would give me little tasks to do with them, and I fed off of their energy. And I don't remember what the lesson I was helping them with, but it was something small. It might have been nouns or adjectives or something like that.
And then in the music education world, you don't really know necessarily like which age group you're going to end up with. But I chose general music education. And then just through student teaching with a great, great teacher at the elementary level, I figured out it was really my calling. And
just the way that their eyes lit up, when you could see that they were learning from it, and I saw the way they looked at him, and I just knew that's what I want to do.
Yeah, I love it. I love the scope of students I get to work with. Like in the mornings after I work with some higher level thinkers in the upper grades, then I get to go have all the the goofy fun and singing with the little itty bitties. And I love both equally. And it's just really nice to have that like difference in my days.
And it was, you might call it a calling of sorts, but I just knew in that moment that I want to pursue this some more.
Being around education from a young age and like growing up in a family with teachers. So being around like teachers that were their friends, I just loved that community of feeling like my school was a second home that way. Cause like all of the people I most trusted and the adults I valued and knew personally in my life were like also my teachers at school.
And so then I went to college and majored in elementary education and started to work at a daycare there. Of course, working with the kids, I realized, yeah, this is what I want to do. And I felt like I could make a difference. And I think I made the right choice. I'm still doing it after 20 years. So.
When you go directly to listening in the classroom, I can't imagine the patience. I can't imagine the skill sets and the time that it takes for you to engage a group of young children, especially in a music setting. When we say, what is listening like as an elementary music teacher, what goes through your head? What's some of your immediate responses?
Oh, I feel like it's so many different things. On the surface, right? Like if I am giving directions, in the perfect world, I would see what we call like whole body listening. I am sitting with some semblance of stillness. My eyes are on the speaker. I am not contributing to any like distracting body language. I'm not trying to talk to the person next to me. But you're right, on that next level, when like I have 17 or 18 like fourth or fifth graders in front of me with noisemakers in their hands, like that just takes a whole nother level of self-control to get them the directions they need, to get them to be, and I probably said that a million times today, like, you are confused right now because you didn't listen to directions, and I am trying my best to help you, but I cannot help you learn if you're not in it with me.
Yeah.
And I think at the beginning of the year when I was really trying to drive home, like, we're going to have a great year, we're going to listen to directions so well, I was like, have you ever heard the phrase, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink? I can give you all of the best directions. I could be doing my very best teaching up here. But if you're not in it with me, if you're not listening, it's not going to make a difference. And then in the musical sense, on the other side of that, like I was telling the fourth graders today, we're working on something and getting ready for a performance, and they were just rushing the heck out of whatever their pattern was. And so at that point, we stop and I ask them, and they know they're rushing. And at that point, I just ask them to listen across the ensemble. So like I'm listening less to myself and more to what my neighbor is doing. And I'm thinking, is this lining up? Do I need to adjust? Is that the person that needs to adjust? And like listening across an ensemble is one of the most important things you can do as a musician. So when things are going wrong, before I even like super address the problem, sometimes it's just like, stop, you need to listen a little bit harder and let's try that again. And sometimes the problem it fixes itself.
It's almost on a meta level of listening where you've got not just listening and attention to what's going on, but also listening in regards to singing and being in line with everybody else. So it's a whole different level of listening.
Yeah. So when you guys sent me this invite and the whole listening thing, I was like listening in an elementary classroom and just like having kids at that age and giving directions as any teacher would. But then I was like, on a music level, I could talk about listening for hours probably.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Travis, what does listening look like for you in your classroom?
I would echo what Kate said about whole body listening. We don't just listen with our ears. We listen with our mind. We listen with our heart. We listen, as Kate said, sitting semi-still and eyes on the speaker. When we talk about listening with our mind, we're actually thinking about what the person is saying. We listen with our heart, and that we show that we care about what that person is saying. And you kind of know it when you see it. But when I'm speaking in front of the classroom, I'm expecting to see eye contact. I'm expecting to see, you can tell right when there's a blank look about someone's eyes and their mind is wandering. So I'm looking for that sharpness in their eyes, that they're with me in conversation, and there's plenty of turn and talk to your neighbor about this opportunities. So it's not just me lecturing, because these are third graders. They don't have the ability to sit and listen to one voice all day. So, I might make a teaching point or a discussion question, and then now turn and talk about this with your group, or turn and talk about this with your neighbor. And then as they're talking, I'm listening to what they're having to say. And that's a kind of an assessment of my own, and just checking in with, are they hearing whatever the point was that I was trying to make? Are they able to discuss with their partner and add to that conversation? Can I continue with this, or do I need to reteach? So it's always a back and forth of me teaching, but then me checking in with them to see, are they really getting, what it is that I'm trying to help them learn?
Yeah, there's really are they listening to you, but then are you listening to them?
Right.
And there's a whole comprehension piece that goes into that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get to the comprehension piece. I want to go back, though, to the idea of the whole body listening. I saw both Drew and I go and write that down, whole body listening. Is that a phrase that you use with the kids?
Yes.
Okay, so you're also teaching about listening. Talk a little bit more about the whole body listening and where that came from, or how you use that in your classroom.
I don't know where it came from necessarily, but I think it's common phrasing that you hear, especially among elementary teachers, where your body is still, your eyes are on the speaker, your ears are open, so to speak, so that you're taking information in, you're thinking with your mind as the person is speaking, your area that you're listening in is distraction free. And that's a battle that, especially in an elementary classroom, you're fighting every day, because kids are active and there are distractions all around them. As much as you try to make it as efficient as possible for them to learn, there's all kinds of things. They have pencils in their desks, they have crayons, they have papers, there's all kinds of things around. And so you try to create visuals and use that same phrasing every day, classroom to classroom, so that they understand what the expectations are, that wherever we go, our job is to learn. And listening is, of course, a huge part of that. You have to listen in order to learn. So that phrase, whole body listening, is effective, but it encompasses a lot of different things.
Yeah. How about you, Kate?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where it came from, but maybe just like the act of listening is like one of those skills that maybe wasn't taught 20 or 30 years ago. But now, as we like incorporate a lot more social emotional learning and just like all of the little things we want our students to leave school with, like learning how to listen is one of those things. And when Travis started to say like various things, my eyes shot to my door. Somebody dropped off a character strong as our social emotional learning curriculum, and with a kindergarten class last year that was really, really struggling, their homeroom teacher would come with them, and as she was dropping them off, they would all repeat together, eyes are focused, ears are listening, mind is focused, hearts are caring, and then they would come in. And sometimes just that reminder before we came in of really, really how to be good listeners was all the difference they needed. And then we have, as teachers, a million little things when they're not listening to get them back on track. Phrases or callbacks or all of those things too.
As Brandt and I were storyboarding this and going through it, and then I always have these going through this stuff, and it was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so they have to learn how to teach and learn how to get kids to listen. And then I turned it and went, wait, they have to teach kids how to listen. But that's not a part of the curriculum. That's not like, okay, in week 4, we teach you how to listen. It's like, it's woven into everything. And like you said, it's probably relatively new. And Travis, maybe you can speak to that. Is that new?
I think the fact that we have social emotional learning as a subject is new in the last probably 10 years or so. I think, teaching kids to listen is something that teachers have always naturally done. I like I said, I've been teaching for over 20 years, and when I inherited a classroom, one of the posters that someone had left behind for me was an image of a student who was a listener, and it showed that student sitting at their desk with their hands folded neatly in front of them and their eyes focused ahead, and their body was still, their feet were on the floor. And I immediately thought, yes, I want to keep that. That's something I want to be able to, direct kids to. The visuals are always helpful, making things as concrete as possible. So I think that the concept of teaching kids to listen has always naturally been there, but the specific lessons now that we have with different social emotional learning curriculums are fairly new in the explicit teaching of them.
And I want to kind of piggyback off of that, and I feel like it's especially true for the group of students Travis has. I can think of one student in particular who is almost never looks like he's whole body listening, but I know that I can get through to him 10 times better if I let that student sit with half of their body off their chair, arms flailing around, and that student sits in a spot where he's not going to distract other classmates with that body language. And that's what that student needs to be able to listen. So there's a weird where you need to know your students. And if that student doesn't look like they're whole body listening, they are really not paying attention. And if it seems like they're not, I'm better to let them listen how they want to listen than get into that conflict with that student, because they're doing what they need to do to be able to listen. So it's in an ideal world, every student would listen and learn like this. But there are plenty of students who learn best when they're flailing around a little bit, or, have the fidget toy, or yeah. Plenty of adults.
You're looking at two of
literally
them
fidgeting with my pencil. Yeah. Well, I got one more question on that, Drew, before you jump into the next one here.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever find yourself with a group of your peers or friends or at home with family and be like, they're not whole body listening? Do you ever use this back in the real world?
No, I think my family would get sick of me very quickly if I tried to do that.
Not maybe it's not saying it, but just maybe thinking it, being like, oh, they're totally not listening right now.
No, if my fiance is on his phone and I'm trying to talk to him, I'm like, you're not listening to me right now. I want to be able to tell that you're listening to me. And then he gets annoyed. He's like, I'm not one of your third graders. I can listen to you and do another thing at the same time. This is important.
That's funny.
That's
well, and I think it's something that we always continue to need to grow from. Myself personally, I can tell you that my wife will say that I'm not always the best listener either. I think, we're always multitasking. As teachers, you're juggling, 10 different things at one time, and that's hard to turn off. And so I often have to stop myself and make sure that I am really focused on what the person is saying. So yes, it does happen in our own homes, but I think we are probably just as guilty as anybody else.
I know you're listening when you put your phone down and you look at me.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have an entire episode about the cell phone, and it's a magical piece. The paradox, or the fact that a communication device blocks communication on an everyday level is the I guess the paradox is the right word. It's very interesting. But we and I catch myself, my kids come home and I put the phone down, look at them. How are you doing? How was your day? Versus just looking over the edge of the phone. Hey, how's it going? That's a great point. One of the things we want to take out of this too is I know that there are lessons that when the listener listens to this episode, that they're going to go, I can apply this. And it's the engagement piece. And you guys have talked about that. That they're engaged because they're doing X, Y, and Z. That doesn't necessarily just need to be with a third grader, right? That can transfer. If you're being listened to, if other people are listening to you. When it comes to relationships, and Kate, when you're like, okay, so there's this one kid, we know that what are your techniques? How do you build those relationships with these kids so that you build respect, you build that piece? Because it's got to be a piece of this puzzle that you learn these kids, know their behaviors, you build relationships, and there's a level of trust that helps you connect with them and that they'll listen to you a little bit more. Yeah.
And it's tricky, right? Because they're in here for a half an hour, and then I've got the next batch and the next batch until, between the 250 students I have, I'm seeing them every 2 days. So we can average that out to 125 students are in and out of my room every day for the most part. It's how do I find a way to connect with them. And I think it's still early days, but early, like year 1 and 2, maybe I was, and still can be, just a little bit like, we've got to get this done. We're all business. And especially this year, I have noticed there is a really, really big difference in how the entire class flow goes and our ability to like you said, trust each other and have that relationship when the beginning of class does not start with the 5 expectations and the learning target. The better class flow happens when they get here on a Monday and I say, did you see the Packer game last night? Oh my gosh, I can't believe how poorly so-and-so played or how well we did. Or, did anybody raise your hand if you read a book this weekend or watched a movie this weekend? So like finding a way to connect with the whole group when they first come in can make a really big difference. And then on an individual level with students that struggle, that's definitely more of like a long-term thing. And I'm still learning with a lot of students what's going to work best for them. And I'm still leaving frustrated sometimes because I do feel like it was, they weren't listening and I don't have that relationship yet, but we keep on working at it. And I think a lot of it is finding the good that you can celebrate with that student, and then trying to find, or should I say, anticipating when the problems might happen so that it's not as big of a problem. Like if I know that this class is not going to be able to sit and do something for longer than 5 minutes, but the next second grade class has a longer attention span, from like the 3 sections of second grade that I teach, one right after another, like the flow of the lesson just might not look the same. So it's like simple differentiation things, knowing my students, and then as they get older, helping them have the tools to advocate for themselves when they know that they need a break. I have really, really celebrated a first grader this year who is learning to advocate for himself and come up to me and say, my focus is weaning. I need a break. And that was the first time he told me that this year. I wanted to cry. I was so happy.
That's awesome.
Yes, we're not going to have this battle. You know that you are getting distracted. You know that you need a break. That is such a win.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't tell me that and he does start rolling on the floor, running around the room, then it's like a behavioral issue we've got to deal with. So
what Kate mentioned about starting the day with giving kids a chance to talk and making sure that they know that you care about them is a huge step. I don't think it's something that anyone really teaches you how to do. There's no manual that says how to build relationships with kids necessarily. It's just something that you have to intuitively figure out for yourself. But kids are people. They want to be respected and they want to be cared about, just like all of the rest of us do. And so they want to know what's their day going to look like. So we start every day with a morning meeting and talk about what the day is going to look like. What are some of our learning goals today? What are we going to for specials? What are we having for lunch? We have a guest speaker coming in at this time. This adult is volunteering to read with some reading groups at this time. And I give them a chance to ask questions, and talk about this is how our day is structured. What questions do you have? And so they know that, I've communicated clearly what our day is going to look like. They have input as far as questioning, why are we doing this today? Or why aren't we doing this today? And then, it starts us off on the right foot so that we all, have a clear path for what that day is going to look like. And then we always especially on a Monday, does anyone have some news to share? And this is their opportunity to share that. And I share some of my own news. And so we're getting to know each other as just people. We spend more time together in our classroom than we do with our own families during the school year. And so it's really important to get to know each other on an individual level, not just as teacher or student. And I think when you have that relationship in place, then that respect naturally goes together on both ends. They know that I care about them. And, there's times where just like a family, you might not always be getting along so well, but you still know that you care about each other and you're working through this together. As Kate said, there are some kids that really struggle as listeners because they struggle to keep their body still. And so we try to make accommodations for them. We make sure that I mentioned that I had that poster that showed the child with 2 feet on the floor and hands folded neatly in front of him. And that's not reality. There's these are young children and they need to move. And so some kids are able to do that, sit very still, but others require some more movement. Some kids need something like a stool where they can get their wiggles out. Some might need a standing desk where they can stand and get some movement with their leg. We have like a swing bar and on that desk where they can get some movement, but they're still able to listen and attend to the conversation. Others, like Kate said, need some space. And so the class might be gathered at a carpet, but I might have another student sitting at their desk because they just need that space. And if they're sitting close to someone else, they know that they're probably going to start fooling around with that person a little bit. So it's a balancing act, what that listening looks like. And it's okay that it looks differently for others as long as we're all still taking in the same information and contributing to the learning.
Yeah. My background is in experiential education, teaching through doing. And I work primarily with adults. And a lot of the work I do is how do I make a topic or subject engaging and meaningful to people? One of the biggest things I know in the classroom setting, if a kid feels safe in a classroom, learning happens so much more. And then you were kind of saying too, when kids feel heard, when they feel like they have a sense of autonomy, when they feel like they are part of their education, we know that they're more engaged with it. They're more part of it. They take it in more. One of the things, Drew, you and I had talked about this last year was this tool called the Feeling Heard Scale. And this is measuring
the old FHS.
It's this experience of feeling heard in interpersonal relationships. And it's really looking at, hey, there are specific things to do to make sure people feel heard. And when people feel heard, oh my gosh, there's so much more that comes out of that when someone feels like they've been listened to. So just taking that minute, to ask about, hey, did you guys see the Packer game? Or how was your weekend? Or what's going on? There's so much that comes with that, with building that safe environment with the trust with the students to getting them really into it.
Mm-hmm. And they have a voice too. When they're struggling, they know it just like we know it. And so trying to have private conversations sometimes where you're problem solving together can be a huge enlightening moment. Like if I see that a kiddo is struggling and I say, hey, let's go talk over here. I want to help you problem solve. They often have insights on things that can help them listen that we haven't thought of. Many of them are able to be pretty reflective at this age already and share things that they need that we may not have realized. And so I think that's a really important part of it too. This is not a one-way street. We're in this together. So I want to hear your ideas as well.
Yeah. Cool. Learning to be admitting to students, like, I don't know the answer. You have to help me. Like, what do you need? And like learning to be a human in front of students like that. I feel like, at least for me, it was a learned skill. I got observed early in my career, and in the post conference, my observer, I think, said to me, like, as a person, I know you to be a very like fun-loving, goofy, silly person. But then when I was observing you in front of students, there was almost none of that. Like, there's a disconnect that I think would really help you connect with your students if you're just like a teeny bit more yourself. Learning I could be that silly, goofy person with my students, and it's to my advantage, was an interesting flip kind of.
Yeah. How much of this are you learning when you're in college to be a teacher? And how much of this is like, man, I'm learning it because of the experience of just doing it?
I think it's mostly experiential. There's, how do you prepare someone for 15 to 25 kids in a room and listening and attending to their needs and trying to reach learning objectives all at the same time? I think you can talk about it and write about it as much as you like, but you have to experience it. And it's a huge learning curve for young teachers. It's such a shock to the system because there is no way to really prepare you for it. I don't think. It's just something you have to figure out as you go. And that's why we have student teachers, right? So that you can really be in a classroom and see a more experienced teacher at work and see how they're listening to all these students in the room and then see how they're engaging those students. I don't know how to explain it. It's just something that you have to go through.
Yeah, you kind of have to live in it for a while. And when I was student teaching, I was with a rowdy 5th grade class that wasn't listening. And it was probably one of the first times my cooperating teacher was having me kind of take the reins, and she stopped the class and was like, you are to the students that, you students are not listening. You need to settle down and focus. And then after that, when we were reflecting on the lesson, she just straight up told me, you have to set the bar higher for student behavior in regards to how they listen to you. There can be things here and there sometimes, but you can't let them do that, because then they're going to do it every time. You have to set the bar higher. You can't let them do that again. You can keep on teaching as a teacher if they're like that, but you shouldn't. And learning that I needed to put my foot down a little harder about that was a tricky one too.
That is tricky.
You've both talked about talking with the kids and asking them questions and engaging with them. And maybe we just answer this question, but we built the relationships. We have the expectations. We go through these things. We talk about that in almost every episode, right? You got to set the expectations, talk about the goals. We use the term desired outcomes. What are your desired outcomes of having this thing? What do you want to get out of it? What are your techniques in going through that sort of thing of look, it's a purple crayon. Isn't this amazing? And you're just like, oh my gosh, I have to give you all this attention right now. What's that relationship? What's that technique? What is that when they need you to listen to them right now? What is that moment as a teacher when you're like, I'm going to give you all of my attention. It's going to be for 7 seconds, but I am going to listen to you.
Yeah, I think you let the chaos happen for a little bit, right? You're not going to win that battle. And if you put your foot down really hard in that moment, you have stopped all the fun and you've kind of ruined that relationship. You've got to let them be goofy and go, oh my gosh, there's a pinwheel. And then you giggle about it and you say, yeah, what a great pinwheel. Okay, now let's rein ourselves back in. Expectation number 5 in my classroom is have fun, but don't go nuts. And they love to giggle over that rule. In a nutshell, it's we can giggle and we can have the goofies and we can have all the fun, but we've also got to get the hard work done. Or we can giggle and have the goofies and do all the fun stuff, but we have to keep our bodies safe and we have to be kind and we have to be respectful. Yeah, there are a million different techniques to rein them back in, but in moments like that, sometimes you let them go off on the little tangent. I remember I was teaching 5th graders and we were talking about our weeks, and I said, oh, you guys, I'm so tired. This weekend I was doing this, that, and the other thing, and I needed outfits for an engagement shoot for my fiance and I, and it was stressful, and I had so many things that I had to do before we went down, and they went off on a whole tangent, and a couple of 5th grade boys decided that we should wear hot dog costumes and hamburger costumes and French fry costumes, and that conversation was 3 or 4 minutes of off-task stuff with a lot of kids just shouting over each other. But you let it happen because now, we have that to laugh about and we have that relationship now. But when you do want them to come back, there's the good old 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. 1, 2, eyes on you. Probably use that one 10 times today. And if I start talking quieter, if we just had a really excitable moment and then all of a sudden I start giving directions like this, they're all screaming and I'm going, okay, what I need you to do right now is quietly walk back to your seats. And if I bring my volume level down, they've got to be quieter to hear. And it kind of regulates them back into the learning environment. Or another one I love that works really, really well with littles is just starting to point out the students who are doing the right thing. And then they all want to be noticed for doing the right thing. So if there's 5 squirrely bodies that need to get under control, I'm not going to point out the 5 squirrely bodies and say, stop doing that. I'm going to look at one of the kids who is doing the right thing and say, oh, I love how Johnny is sitting so quietly. And I love how Susie has her eyes right on me. I can really tell Susie is listening. Thank you so much. And that one works, almost instantly too. So yeah, many a technique.
Travis, I want you to share your favorite story of you having to listen or getting the opportunity to listen to one of your 3rd grade students.
Oh, I don't know if there's one story. It happens all the time where you're reading body language, right? And you can see they're young, they're excited to tell you something, and it would be cruel to stifle it sometimes, because you can see like they sit up straight and their arms get clenched and their eyes get big, and so you have to let them, Johnny, what's up? What, I can tell there's something, you've got to let me know. So let's hear it, buddy. And they come out with it, and then they feel heard. And sometimes someone else has something else to piggyback off of. And in that moment, that's more important than what I'm saying. They clearly have something that's on their mind that has to come out, and I could try to talk over them and through them, but they're not going to hear what I have to say if they don't get a chance to say what it is that's really important to them. And if it's really important to them, then it's valid and it's something that needs to be recognized. So we just have to remember that they're people too, and we all have things that we need to get off our chest, and something that's really important to them is important to me. So, let's hear it. So they feel respected, they feel heard. And then, that's the classroom community, is being respectful of one another and having everybody has a voice and everybody has an opportunity to be heard. Like Kate mentioned, we have a number of attention signals. I have chimes that ding, 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 and that just means stop, look, and listen. I might do a series of claps, and then they echo those claps. And that's another, attention getter. There's class callbacks, like Kate mentioned. I say, class, they answer, yes, yes. And then that tells them there's something important that they need to hear. So there's a variety of techniques. It's part of the joy of teaching kids this young is that excitement that they bring with them every day. And if you can't enjoy that, then you're in the wrong profession. You have to be able to go with the flow sometimes. And no day goes the way you have it planned out. It just doesn't. So you have to be flexible and enjoy those moments.
You ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
I love this. I love this part. All right, parents. What do you want parents to know? If you could have one thing, let's say we've got an audience of 100 parents that are listening to this podcast. What's the one thing that you want them to walk away with? If they listen to this episode, they're parents of young kids, and you get this moment on a pedestal to say, all right, when it comes to listening, this is the one thing that I want parents to walk away with.
I thought you were going to say, at what point in your career did you realize that parents are part of the equation?
I think that's a totally different podcast. So I don't think you go to school, or at least there's not a significant component of schooling to go do what you do so that you get to interact with parents of the kids, right? You're there for the children. And the parents, we all know we're all different. We all know we all have our strengths and the things that we're working on. My question to you, if you want parents to understand one thing when it comes to listening and your role with their children, what would you want that to be?
It's a great question. I don't know that there's one single skill that I would point out, but I guess the biggest thing I would want parents to know is that we're on the same team. And that means we both want this child to be successful in school. I want it to be a mutual relationship where, yes, I'm teaching them here at school, but they know their kids best. I want them to know that I welcome their input. And I hope that they would know that we have the best of intentions here at school. We're doing everything we can to help their child be successful. And fortunately, in both school districts I have worked in, parents have been incredibly supportive, and that means the world to us as teachers. We put our heart and soul into this, and the fact that they support us and hear any concerns that we have, but also hopefully feel comfortable enough to share concerns that they have so that we can work together to make this the best learning experience possible for their child. I think that's huge. If there's that level of trust between parent and teacher, then great things can happen.
Yeah, I would say I was thinking the exact same thing. I mean, just the team aspect of it all. I am confident that the things we see here at school are the same things that happen at home. So we're really just, especially in the soft skills side of things, how we treat each other, how we listen to each other. We're all in it together, and we're really just trying our best to see how we can stretch and grow and mold these little human beings into the best versions of themselves.
My mom was a teacher, elementary teacher for 37 years, and my sister-in-law is an elementary teacher. My brother's a middle school principal. I've been surrounded by teachers my entire life. The respect of the skill of teaching children in the elementary level is one that does not get enough recognition. So I personally want to thank you both for the effort. The passion is neat, but it's not, you're not walking in there passionate every single minute of every single day, right? There's a job to get done, but you have a skill set, and that skill set is what continues to drive what you guys are doing. And I just want to say I appreciate you, and I know Brandt as well. I guess what sticks out, maybe Brandt, this is turning into my takeaway, and we'll just hammer it out real quick.
It's okay.
This is my takeaway. What really struck me was when you were both talking about the relationships that you build with these kids and that they are humans. And I think that sometimes gets lost in the understanding of they're third graders or there's 125 of them. No, they're little human beings. And at that age, there's respect. It is part of the puzzle. Attentiveness, relationship building. All of those things. They don't just show up, listen to you for 8 hours, and then go home at the end of the day. You have these 1,000 mini interactions, not many in the sense of their age or their size, but you know what I mean? Like these 1,000 little interactions that shape who they are. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal work. And my takeaway is this, simply thank you. That's my takeaway. Brandt, what's your takeaway?
My takeaway is that whole body listening.
Yeah.
I love that concept. I love the idea of it. And I'm going down that rabbit hole after we're off this call because it just sounds really cool to me. And I also want to say thank you too. You guys do some awesome work as teachers. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah.
I think we're always evolving too. Just as kids are learning, we are learning as well. We're trying to get better every day as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's fun to grow alongside them. A really funny one popped into my head as we're wrapping up. In the realm of like students who are so excited to share they can't listen. I had a kindergartner last year who for 5 minutes was doing one of these like,
Yes.
about to fall out of her chair. I have something to share. And I kept on going, hold that thought, hold that thought, hold that thought. And I finally got to her thinking it was just going to be like the most exciting thing. Like we're getting a puppy or something like really big. And she goes, I got 3 things to tell you. First thing, I'm not wearing socks today. Second thing, this is a brand new tutu. Third thing, I'm seeing my grandpa today after school. Just none of them connected to one or the other. Just totally random thoughts. So glad that for the last 5 minutes you were about to fall out of your chair. You just couldn't wait to tell me that you were not wearing socks today.
That's so great.
That's great.
And as a teacher, if you're not along for that ride, if you're not excited about that, if that doesn't brighten your day a little bit, double check.
Yeah.
Right? Double check.
That one
That's so great.
makes me laugh every time.
I love it. Hey, guys, thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us. This is awesome. Fantastic conversation.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you taking the time to sit and talk with us. So,
thank you for having us.
Thank
It was
you.
a little intimidating. I was like, I don't know if I know anything about listening, but this was a great conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, you do. Great. You do. We appreciate it. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
In the description of this podcast, you will find more information and a list of any of the sources that we used.
This podcast is created and produced by Drew Richmond and Brandt Christofferson. Editing by me, and the I'm Listening theme music by Drew.
That's me.
That's you.
Brandt, I will talk to you later, my friend.
We'll see you next time.
Yeehaw.
Have a good one, Drew.
Bye, Brandt.